Nobody talks about the apostles who sat on the boat. Peter is the only one whom we speak about. Why? Because he had the courage to do something that no one else had the courage to. And the next important thing I want to share is, it's not about how perfect you are in walking on water. This is so important, guys. This is so important. It's not about how perfect you are in walking on water. It's about the fact that you walk on water that makes the difference. Right? Many times we're like, oh, John, I'm not that perfect. I'm not that good. Oh, John, I'll be a laughing stock. Yes, we often preach about Peter like a laughing stock. Oh, my goodness, he jumped on water and then he's. But think about it for a minute. Even I was a laughing stock. Like, what is this guy doing and stuff like that. But I want to tell you something here. See, it's not about how perfect you are on walking on water. When I released my first book, of course, my second book became a bestseller. It became a number one on Amazon. And after that, my first book also joined the club of becoming a bestseller. But here's the thing I want you to understand. When my first book came out in 2017, to be honest, if you wrote it on paper, it was a flop. It was a loss, right? Like financially and all of that. People used to ask for complimentary copies and people struggle to pay. Even that, like, I mean, that's kind of like bad on many people's part, because they don't mind spending, $300 on just a pizza or a burger. But if they have to spend $100 on a book, they're like, oh gosh, I can't do that, right? That was kind of unfair. But anyway, it was my first book, so I was just giving off copies to people just like that. And it was literally a loss. But you know something? A lot of people in my circle, whether it was pastors or anybody for that matter, they used to contact me and say, John, give me suggestions and advice on my book. I need to know how to go about with regard to my book. I need to know what should I do. Give me suggestions. What steps should I take? And I used to guide so many people, and I still do that. Um, and think about this. I'm not perfect in the book industry. I've not been some big a person who has authored like 25 books or who are all become bestsellers. I'm not an entrepreneur. But here's the thing. Why would those people trust and ask me for advice? Simple. Because I've done something that most people have not done. I was treading upon the waters. I trust God and took those steps. Many of the things I did, whether it was my book, my first television contract, so many things I did were just on my own. I didn't have backup. I didn't have people to support, stand by, or encourage or guide me. Nothing. Most of the things I would just pray as God led. I just took those steps, whether to anything for that matter. Even in the ministry, every step, even inviting many of these influential people on my podcast and doing all these marketing strategies, everything, I just trust God, took those steps. And many of these things are, like, I have made mistakes, of course, I'll tell you that. But at the same time, have learned through those mistakes. But at the same time, I had unique experiences that many people would only wish they had. You get what I'm saying, right? So people used to come to me for advice, even though I was not perfect. In the worldly perspective, I was like a flop star, right? This guy who has flopped or failed or having a loss in the book industry, so to speak. If you look at it in regard to my first book at that point of time, it was like a loss. But that didn't stop people from asking me for advice, or that didn't stop people from coming to me for suggestions on how they should go about in regard to their book. Why? Because it's not about how perfect you are in walking on water. It's about the experience that you have, that you can say, I have walked on water. I know what these things are. I know what are the pitfalls, what are the experiences. These are mistakes I made. These are things that you should be cautious about. And that had so much of weightage. That had so much of value. So don't worry and say, John, I'm going to stop walking on water because I'm scared I'll be a laughing stock. I'm not perfect. No, nobody's perfect in the beginning. And especially when you walk on water, you'll be alone. Most of the people are going to sit in the boat and just criticize. They're not going to stand by you. You'll be alone. But you're not alone in the sense that you're alone with nobody else. You're alone in the sense that there's no person with you, but you have Almighty God. You have the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. You have Emmanuel, the God who's with us, with you in that season. And that gives you the strength, that gives you the courage, that gives you the hope to say, yes, I can walk on water. Right? So that's what I wanted to leave with all of you guys today. That I hope this message resonated with you. A couple of things just to remind you. Number one, ask yourself, are you a water walker, or are you just sitting on the sidelines making comments about the people who are actually making an impact? Second of all, if you're a water walker and you're discouraged about the people who are sitting on the boat and making comments about you, don't worry about them. By the end of the day, nobody talks about those people. Everybody talks about the one who actually had the courage to walk on water. And last but not least, when you walk on water, don't worry and say, oh my goodness, I'm not perfect in walking on water. It's not about how perfect you are in walking on water. What really makes the difference is that you walked on water, the experience that you have, the testimony that you hold, that carries so much of weightage. And when you say yes, just like Peter said yes when Jesus called him, and he stepped out and he had a unique experience, when you say yes to God's call over your life and you step out, I believe and declare that God is going to exceed your expectations. He's going to meet your needs. He's going to do amazing things. He's going to open new levels and new doors and new seasons, and he's going to do that's going to far exceed your wildest imagination. I hope you were blessed, encouraged, and taught something through this message. I encourage you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. At the same time, I encourage you to check out my daily podcast episodes. They're going out really well by the grace of God, trending across India as well as in Africa and so many other nations. I'm so grateful to God to see the impact of the podcast all around the world. And we have many celebrity guests coming in, and I'm so grateful to God for that. And at the same time, I want you to check those contents out and share them around so that it will reach more people for the extension of God's kingdom. And one more thing, if you're led to support us financially, the link to my PayPal is mentioned in the description. If you'd like to share financially, you can do that. And one more thing before I leave, you can connect with me to the various social media platforms like Instagram, and you can also connect with me through my website www.johngiftah.com, which is a one-stop hub where you can get all the details that you need, and you can contact me if you want me to minister somewhere or anything for that matter. So it'll be a great blessing as well. So thank you so much once again for dropping till the end. Do check out other content on this channel. May God bless you, and see you next time.